Wait
You're
for
the
George.
chairman.
Yeah. I just feel like he's going to join us any second, but okay, I'd like to call the order the meeting of the BZA, and we have a quorum. So would you take a moment to look at the minutes from the June 9th? Oops. Oh, man.
That's incredible. That was the last BCA meeting.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't, but that's my last minutes.
Yeah. Well, there's not much there. Does anybody note any additions or corrections to the minutes presented on your screen? Hearing none, they are approved as presented. Okay. Starting with the request for the special exception.
So we received a request for a special exception from a Brewer Property Preservation Company, which is located down here. There's Fayette Baptist Church right here, and Davita, I'm sorry, and then you can see the other places in the area, and that's the building that they're located in right now. They have a lawn service, and if you look at they're requesting that they can sell portable storage buildings on that site, which is not allowed by right in our zoning ordinance on the table 1, table of uses. So it would fall under the category of retail that's not previously listed, which is by special exception in general business. So that's why we brought this in. Anyway, the staff report, I may put a staff report together. Reality is we think the staff thinks that this is conducive to this area. And since it's mainly agricultural, located near other businesses, and we think that the use it would fit there. So that's sorry.
You have anybody representing the company tonight?
He was supposed to come tonight, wasn't he, Stacy?
I sent him the initial email and the reminder. I got a okay on the initial email, but I didn't get a response to the reminder, so I don't know what to say.
Yeah, we try to get in touch with him again today, Tim.
Do we even need to consider it without the applicant being here?
Well, if the new ordinance, if we pass the new BZA guidelines, then no. But I don't think we've passed those yet. We're going to require them to be here in the future. So it's up to the BZA. We need it. If you want to hold off and require them to be here, we can do that.
I think it's a courtesy that we should.
Okay.
I kind of agree. I know that we're either approving it or we're not approving it. And if it's a special exception, we could make some requirements if we felt it was necessary. That would be helpful to have a discussion with the person.
Right.
I'm not sure that I would require that, but I'm kind of curious. It doesn't affect an up or down vote, but does he plan to put them all in the front? Does he plan to put them on the side? Is there any area in the back? I see where that little, the tip of the arrow is. It looks like it looks like grass behind.
There looks like something.
Excuse me.
Yes.
They do planning on putting him in the front. I do know that much. It'll be up front.
Yeah.
And I will say also that they are fairly new to the area. They have done all the right things. They've come to us with questions. They've gotten business licenses. They really have come to the area as newcomers and tried to do everything right.
Well,
Which isn't always the case.
I don't know
Yes.
why he's not here. Maybe I didn't convey that it was, I'm pretty sure I put it strongly suggested that you attend, but maybe it didn't come across the way it should have. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well,
Are they buying that building?
They are, according to the property tax records, they own it.
Okay,
They own it and the parcel behind it, or that what looks like grass back there,
yeah,
would be their property now. You know, the only thing I'm wondering is, and this may be a question for Jim, since we can, as the Board of Zoning Appeals, we could put certain requirements on that and approve it. Is that correct? I mean, like if we said you can't, you know, if he keeps it back behind, as we're looking at that map, if he kept the stuff back behind that driveway,
Right here, you mean, Mayor?
yeah, I don't have much of a problem, but if he wants to put it out there,
That's too close to the road there.
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
That's actually in the right of way, probably, Mayor. You see
Well,
the telephone poles
I-
coming through here like that?
I realize that, but what difference does that make to most people?
Well, I understand, but he can't put it in the right of way. We could make that statement, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think Betsy brought it up too, the location of the storage. That's imperative to know that. And I think if the condition is simply, if you're okay with it being in front of the building, to simply say to keep it on the property. I am actually looking at the parcel map right now, and their southernmost parcel line falls with the southern part of that sort of cross access driveway.
Right here.
Yeah, right
Ju-
there. So
Well, you can see the telephone poles, see them right here.
yeah. So
So
you
that's
couldn't put it
what
on the pavement. Honestly, that might be make sure that it's clear that
Actually, there's a telephone pole right there, so you can see where it is. You
yeah.
can see the telephone pole sitting right there, so that's where usually the right of way ends, right at the telephone poles.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say that he has to keep it back north of the pavement.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I mean, I assume he wouldn't put them on the pavement and block the drive, but
I'm even a little concerned about that in that this is now this would be our third portable building area, and I don't know what other space he has. I know that if you're selling something, you want it to be seen. So I don't want to inhibit his sales, but if there's room on the west side of the property and it's even with the building or something, and I have no idea what the terrain is like, whether that's asphalt or grass or whatever, but that would be more aesthetically pleasing to me. I realize we've got some metal buildings there, but it's also an entrance to the town that I just don't want. I don't know if we can limit the number he has. And so if we're allowing it, are we allowing it no matter what, how many he has and where he has them and how crowded they look? And if we can't control that, then I don't really want it right in our face. I just wonder if we could have it on the side.
Is that Fowler paving to the south?
yes.
Yes,
Okay,
over here.
yeah.
I kind of like Betsy. We went through some great pains to close the loophole for outbuildings. And now we're kind of throwing that away.
I'm
Maybe we
wondering if
could-
we could postpone it and talk to him.
Okay,
Maybe you could put examples in the front and then put the rest on the side. I don't know how many you'd have. And display them nicely.
Yeah,
I'll go back to what I said initially. I think we should defer until we have representation.
I agree with you, Tim. I think we should postpone just so that we can get it. We might have some more questions that we need to ask. Because we would be setting a precedent, and since we've made our change to the special exception allowance in the ordinance. And I'm not sure where I stand on it. I mean, I don't want to prevent a viable business from existing. And you said they've done all the right things, which is great because a lot of people don't.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, we're gonna have to have a meeting on the 23rd anyway, so in 2 weeks.
yeah.
We can just ask them to be here in 2 weeks.
Let's do that. Let's do that. I'd be more comfortable.
That way he can answer all the questions.
Sounds good.
George is
So
back.
Yeah. The key word in there is to adversely affect the neighborhood, and I think we could learn a lot by him being here. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I agree, Richard.
Yeah. Special effect.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So since we're not ruling on that tonight and we're postponing it, then there's no other item on the BZA. We'll adjourn the BZA.
Do we need
What,
a
a vote?
motion to
A motion? Yeah.
postpone that or? to-
Okay, someone, would they please make a motion?
So moved.
Who? Who
Okay.
moved?
Judy, you got the
You take it, Tim.
Okay.
Judy
Yeah,
got the
I'll-
second on that one.
I'll make that motion.
Do we
Okay,
have a second?
Judy
I'll
got it.
second.
Second, okay, and if there's no further discussion, is there any discussion? If not, let's vote on it.
Roll call.
Yeah, thank you.
George,
Okay.
sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Judy,
I
you have-
do feel that it would go with the lawn service that he has. I feel like
Yeah,
that
I
would
think that's
be
pretty compatible. Good point.
that would be
It is.
good. Okay, that's all I had to say.
Okay, okay. Roll call,
George?
What am I voting on?
postponing till,
Postpone
Yes.
till the next meeting.
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Tim? Tim,
Yes, aye.
Judy, Betsy,
aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
All right. All right, if there's no further business, we'll adjourn the BZA and open the planning commission meeting. I keep trying to scroll down, it doesn't work.
Sorry.
No, it's just,
I'm trying to keep up with everybody. Hang on.
no, I just keep doing it. Okay, take a minute to look at the minutes. Pretty straightforward. If there are no additions or corrections, and I hear none, then the minutes are approved as presented. All right, there we go.
Sorry.
No,
You wanna-
ready. I'm ready.
Okay. All right, there you go. So the changes are in yellow. Okay, so there are really only a couple of changes that we talked about. One of them was to include, let me just get down there. Hang on a second. I'm just gonna scroll down until I find the yellow. All right. So instead of rehearing, I have the word hearing on there. And then it was discussed that we include this rezoning section in the part 1 of the zoning ordinance. And let me pull that up here real quick, okay? And show you what the rest of part 1 looks like. Hang on a second. I'm going to try to get it here. All right, so part 1. Part 1, 14.2-105 is amendments, and you know, what we would like to see is this rezoning separated out so that we can more easily find it. So rather than include it in 105 as suggested at the last meeting, we might want to go ahead and just create a new section called 108, which calls out that zoning process there, so that it'll be in it'll actually be on the, in the table of contents, and we'll be able to find it more easily. So that's what, see, right now, this section ends at 107, and it is no section 108, so this would actually add a section 108 to this section. Everybody understand all that section stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so really, I didn't really change any of the rezoning process. All I did was move it from one area of the zoning ordinance, which it used to be in the creating the districts. Now it's in this this section of the zoning ordinance. And those are the only two changes. Since last, that's it. Everything else is the same.
Okay. So are we trying to, are we wanting to approve ordinance by ordinance or do them in any kind of clustering? Is there any argument to do it when we are satisfied with the signage ordinance, or does it make any difference at all? As far as advertising for it or making the changes?
So, you know, we have actually probably 2 meetings before the next board meeting. We have one tonight and one in 2 weeks. If we wanted to go ahead and recommend this ordinance to the board, we could recommend this ordinance to the board. And then if we can get through with the what seemed like a few minor changes in the sign ordinance, which is just adding to the sign ordinance, it's not really changing the sign ordinance, other than adding some language, then we could do it all at one time in a public hearing all at one time, or we could actually make it all one ordinance if we wanted to, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, it's up to you guys what you would like to do. We could actually just put it all together, because it's really amending the zoning ordinance in whole, as you know, not just each individual section. I just started it out like this because it's easier for me to work section by section,
Yeah.
to go through it and then, you know, and then bring it to the planning commission and then work through it and get it done. I know it's a lot more of a process, but you know, we didn't really get that process the last time we did the zoning ordinance. We just adopted the whole thing all in one piece, and you know how it is. So I just think this works better. Everybody gets a chance to talk about everything when we do it one section at a time.
Yeah.
But we can absolutely include that sign ordinance amendment in this next public meeting.
Okay. Well, I think you're right that there's not all that much to the sign ordinance, so that we should present them both at the same time. I think we're probably where we need to be on this. And does anybody feel like there's any other part of this that we haven't addressed that's just occurred to them that needs to be addressed before we move on? And that's mostly directed at the mayor.
I'm just still reading the post-decision request section here, number 5.
Okay.
Has the 60 days come from the TCA 279101?
Yes.
Okay. Does that need to say any final decision made by the BZA?
Where?
If you have another, I mean, you know, the way that reads to me, if the BZA decides something tonight, they can just go straight to court. They don't have to come back to the BZA, which may be fine.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if the court will hear it, if they still have, Jim, that's a question for you. Would the court say you've got a petition for a rehearing to the BZA first before you come to our court? You know, sometimes courts will make you go through all of your administrative steps before they will accept the case. So,
well, the only distinction I would make, that is a great question, because typically the decision before the post-decision request would be the final decision, but we had this new section. I will say that the only reason you can get a rehearing is if there's new evidence. So the BZA could make a decision. He could say, well, I don't agree with that, and I have no new evidence to present. And I think at that point you'd go straight to court, because it wouldn't be possible for you to qualify for another hearing or a rehearing in that case.
If you have no new evidence to show.
If you have no new, yeah, that's right. So the court can't say, well, you haven't exhausted all of your avenues. You say, well, I have because I have no new evidence. I want to appeal the decision. I don't qualify for another hearing with the town. So here I am, Judge.
Whatever, I just want to make that clear as to
Mhm.
what, what's happening there. I can't imagine somebody wouldn't be able to come up with new evidence.
Yeah. Or if someone brought new evidence to court and the judge asked, well, did the BZA have this evidence? And they say, well, no, this is new. Well, at that point, they might say, well, there's a post-hearing request process you can go through and present your new evidence before you come here. So in that case, they may send it back. I guess that'd be up to the judge on how they treat this post-decision request. It also has the word may in there, which is good under number 1. Any agreed party may request. So in a lot of cases, they may get turned down and decide, well, I was asking for a variance for the side yard setback. They denied it. Forget it. I'll just comply and move on and build whatever I was going to build. They wouldn't be forced into going through the post decision request.
Well,
Just-
go ahead.
I just want that clear, how this works. I mean,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think your original question, number 5, any decision or any final decision made by the BZA. I'm not sure that might take a lawyer to figure that one out. Whether it should be final or decision. I would assume that typically a BZA decision is final just by the nature of it.
What if you said any decision by the BZA made within 60 days, and then in parentheses, if there is new evidence, be appealed under common?
Well, they don't have to
Oh, it
have
doesn't
new
require it.
evidence to
No,
appeal to the court. Actually, what they're doing there when they go to the court is they're asking the court to review what the board did to make sure that whatever they did was legal.
Okay.
So is this something new, this layer? I thought when we put this decision request, we were taking this on and adding a layer for the benefit of the individuals involved, but that it wasn't being mandated by Tennessee Code Annotated, that this was just, but is there some requirement that there be this post-decision review?
No, we were
No.
just adding it.
Okay, we're adding it, okay.
We're adding it so that the board of mayor and aldermen are not involved in these post-decision requests,
Okay,
that they come directly back to the BZA. So I think that's the reason why we added it in the beginning.
so it's up to the aggrieved party to either decide that he wants to go out and find new evidence and come back to the BZA, or take it immediately to the Court of Appeal through a writ of certiorari. In
Yes.
which case, if we go back to what Jim said, the decisions are generally considered final by the BZA, then I don't see any reason to add final here.
Agree.
Yeah, because you can either opt to come back to the BZA. The way it's written right now is you can either opt to come back to the BZA, or you can just go right to court.
Right,
Because some people might want to go right to court because they don't want that guy to add that thing, an addition on his house that you granted a variance, or the other way around. You didn't grant the variance and he wants to build that addition or whatever. They might just go right to court.
okay. Ron, you still bothered by it?
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe you could write it this way. Any decision made by the BZA after, okay, I was going to say, and adding the phrase "and all appeals have been exhausted. Somehow.
I don't know.
I think it's an either or. I don't think it's a, to me, it's an either or. You can either come back to the BZA and try to, you know, plead your case again with new evidence, or you can just go straight to court. Or you can do both. You can come back to the BZA for another try, and then if that doesn't work, you can go to the court.
Yeah.
So
Well, either way, their options are in written in law. All this is doing is telling them what their options are.
right.
It's not
Yeah.
deciding.
Go-
what their options are.
Go to TCA 27-9-101 and see what your options are.
Yeah, that could just as easily be step 5.
Yeah.
All right, so are we ready to recommend this to the board?
Is that all that's in yellow?
That's it.
Okay. I think I'm ready to recommend this to the board, or. But I'd like to do it in tandem with the signage and just, you know,
But I don't really know if it matters. I mean, we can just go ahead and
Yeah.
recommend it and then come back and do
and
the
do the ordinance. Okay, yeah,
one,
that's what I'm saying.
you know, work on sign tonight and next week, and I mean, 2 weeks from now, and see where we are. And,
Okay,
I
Well,
think,
they're two different ordinances, so they will be considered as two separate things.
right.
Yeah,
not
but somebody
packaged.
may want to vote against one and for the other.
Well, that's right.
yeah.
All right, so do we need a motion on the first ordinance there that we recommend this to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen? On ordinance 2021-004, I'll so move.
A second. Any discussion?
Yeah, the ordinance number might change. That's the only discussion.
Okay. the
But I will-
ordinance and-
Yeah, depending on what happens with some other stuff we're working on right now. So I think it ought to work out just fine, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. Okay. Let's have a roll call vote in favor of recommending this ordinance.
Okay, Tim,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Judy,
Aye.
Betsy,
Aye.
Mayor.
Aye.
Okay, sign ordinance. What have you got for us? And
Well, I made a couple of changes to this based on the neon sign discussion last week. And so traveling signs, I added vertical movement and I added border or any other part of the sign as movement. So to maybe accommodate what a neon sign might do. So if any traveling element of the sign, vertical, horizontal, border, message, whatever, would be included in this traveling idea. Now, maybe I didn't get the language correct. I don't know. I didn't, Jim didn't take a look at this yet, unless he saw it in the packet. And then the other added addition I made, zoning district. So I had zoning districts permitted, and I added the zoning districts prohibited, which are all residential districts. And then dynamic signs within the central business districts must be approved by the Design Review Commission. And that was the language I added, George, so that we could include certain neon and other types of dynamic signs in the central business district. in the future.
I think that's great.
Eddie too.
And it really kind of covers everything. I did add a neon. Oh, I forgot to highlight the neon sign definition. And I did get this off the internet, George, in case you're wondering where I got it. I think it calls it out correctly. Illuminated sign structured from fluorescent lights in the form of bent glass tubes, usually in different colors, obtained by mixing various noble gases with neon. I did not know the answer to that one. I did not know how they created the colors.
This is an education.
Yes, right. A
But
neon is a type of dynamic sign, is what it says at the end there.
okay, that's interesting. I really don't care one way or the other, but I would have argued that a neon sign that has no movement is either just on or off. I would not consider that a dynamic sign. Would anybody else? Anyway,
What other category is it?
it's just it's a sign.
The lit sign.
It's a lit sign.
Yeah,
lit
but it's not
sign?
the same thing as a rear lit sign or a, you know,
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I think all this says to me is that you're classifying it in the group of dynamic signs versus static signs.
right.
But
But George, if it's under dynamic signs, then we have a review with a design review that we wouldn't have, which is kind of good, regardless of what kind of sign it is. I like that kind of control.
yeah,
And remember
absolutely.
that. So George, remember that the definition is going to go in the definition portion of the sign ordinance. So if somebody's looking for a definition of neon sign and they say, oh, it's a type of dynamic sign, they'll go to see what, where dynamic signs are allowed and what is allowed with a dynamic sign, which is a totally different section of the sign ordinance.
I just would caution that some people, would know what everyone knows what a neon sign is. So I doubt anybody's going to be looking for the definition. And some people might distinguish, me included, the difference between a neon sign that is just on or off and a neon sign that has 3 different phases of the bowling pins knocking the bowling ball and knocking the bowling pins down type thing. I would call that a dynamic sign, and the one that's just on or off is a static sign. And somebody might just inherently think that it's logical, so they wouldn't even bother looking at the
Dynamic.
regulations on a dynamic sign.
So is
You
your
just-
alternate, go ahead.
You just classified all the beer signs as dynamic signs that are, that in a lot of cases do not move.
Yeah, like
They're just lit.
the
up.
Budweiser that you pull the pull chain on and it just comes on. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just lights up. It's not moving in any way.
So you would rather have a standalone definition for neon, saying that it could either be static or dynamic, and
Or
then
you
also
a
include.
neon sign with motion is a type
Yeah.
of dynamic.
Yeah.
Just add with motion in there.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see if we can come up with a better word than motion. What is this? I guess that's it, with some type of motion. Yeah, with motion.
I would say with implied motion, because it's really not moving. What it's doing is changing which
Yes.
tubes are lit in time.
I got you.
Well, I mean, but hadn't you already covered that without getting into dynamic, without getting into neon, when you say a non-static sign employing actual motion or the illusion of motion?
That's true. Neon
Doesn't
is
that
just
cover it
light.
without distinguishing whether it's LED or neon or whatever?
Good point.
I just want to make sure that any of
I don't
those
want you
are-
to outlaw my Budweiser sign that I want to hang in George's office.
Some people have collections of those signs too, you don't want to
I
make.
know. If you've ever priced them, it's an expensive habit too.
And here you,
Ronnie,
And
I
here
don't
you
think
are
we're-
outlawing them in the residential areas.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think you can put that up by your house.
Oh, okay. I can't put it up over my mailbox.
No, I don't think so.
So basically, a neon sign could be just covered by, you know, if it has motion, is a dynamic sign without even the definition, maybe. I don't know.
Did you mention an LED sign in here anywhere?
Well, that's a type of, yeah, so electronic display screens. Here it is right here, flat screens, LED screens, video boards. That was in there before.
Well, but does that, I mean, that's, you know, that the LEDs that they use to light the bridges down in Memphis are not screens, but they're obviously very moving signs. I mean, not signs, but lights. So is that what we're trying to control here too?
Yes. We're trying to control the motion for basically for driver safety issues as far as drawing drivers' attentions away from the road by reading your moving sign. So, which an electronic display sign or whatever, they're going to draw more attention than a static sign that's just sitting there. More than likely. So we're trying to control the height of the letters by making them at least 7 inches tall so that people aren't reading tall letters and looking intently at it to read the display, or you know, the changing of the light to draw their attention away from the road at, you know, the wrong time, or the how illuminated the light is, how much light is coming out of there, that kind of stuff.
How distracting is the light in front of Food Right, the sign in front of Food Right?
Right. Well, that's one of the signs that we probably could have, you know, controlled a little bit had we had something like this ordinance in place. So we really didn't have any way to not allow, well, that sign to be put on that pole. And now it's flashing and carrying on. And
Which brings up an interesting question. Would it be proper to go to Food Right after this or whatever passes and say, hey, we've got a new ordinance, and since your sign is changeable with a computer program, we need you to now adhere to this ordinance. No letters can be smaller than 7 inches, et cetera, et cetera.
right, no flashing, changing and all that stuff. 10 seconds between changes.
Yeah. I mean, since it's
I
changeable.
don't, that's not Food Right sign. That's, isn't that Wendy Butler's sign?
It's the bargain bar. Well, it
Yeah.
used to be the bargain barn. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah. Since the message is changing all the time, George, is that what you're saying?
Right. I mean, normally you'd say, well, they're grandfathered in because they've already bought their sign. Well, this is a sign that can change. So can we require them to change their sign since it's changeable to adhere to the new ordinance?
Yeah, to change the message on it.
Right.
We could go around town and you know, talk to everybody about that has changeable signs like that. And there are quite a few of them, I think.
As a committee.
With George as its head.
Yeah. Don't get me started.
Well, I think we should. If there's no
George and
cost
Betsy and
incurred.
Richard, you're on the committee. Have fun with that.
Yeah. I think this is an enforcement issue with, don't we have personnel for that?
Yes, we do. She's in this meeting right now, actually.
Casey?
Yes, Stacey's our code enforcement person also, yeah.
Oh, man, come on. You know I'll do it, though. You know I
I know
will.
I know you will.
Think you're
Mhm.
gonna have a lot of mad people.
I don't know that you can, I don't know, that Jim,
Rick. It would be hard to do, wouldn't it, Mayor?
I would think that would be, even though there's no such term, grandfathered.
That's a tricky one. Because I'm kind of buying into George's argument. Because typically you don't look at the message being displayed, but we're still not doing that here. We're talking about the manner it's being displayed, which is the flashing, doing whatever.
Yeah, we're not telling them to take the sign down. We're telling them just to change the way the message is presented.
Yeah, if it's easily changed, but it might be old technology too, though, that might not be able to be changed. But if they're changing the message on there, I don't know. That'd be a great question for Tom. I've never dealt with that one, but that's got to be an issue out there for sure. Is a changeable message board, electronic one, considered grandfathered and non-conforming? You'd have to prove that it existed in this manner prior to the ordinance, which I mean might be a video of the screen showing it moving.
Well, there's some
That's
there
tricky.
that are similar to that. Yeah.
That's beyond my knowledge.
I can look that up in the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
or I can talk to somebody about it.
And even if it isn't enforceable, they might be willing.
Right.
No?
Yeah, just explain to them, you're going to cause people to die. Awesome.
Well,
Well, as a former business,
If I've just spent $10,000 or $15,000 on a sign, I'm sorry, you're not, I don't know that you're gonna get that far on that.
right.
What were you gonna say,
Yeah.
Richard?
I was just gonna say, as a former business owner, I would think that they would be doing that to maybe draw attention to their business. And I know it might cause some hazards with the road and street, but maybe they need that to get
Yeah.
people to look, I know we was talking about the Memphis Bridge, but the Memphis Bridge, when you come across the Memphis Bridge, it's lit on the outside, but when you drive across on the inside, you can't see it. They got it set up that way.
Really?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can see it. You can see it coming down like from the city part, from the banks, but when you drive through it, there's no lights.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was
I
shocked.
wondered how that was working.
Yeah. The same for the Hernando Bridge as well.
Well, it's distracting. That's why they do it like that.
Yeah, it is distracting. It is distracting. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
I
wondering
think
how the truckers.
the whole thing is basically for the look in the town. However, it's also for the driver safety, so it's kind of, it's both ways.
Exactly.
Well, I can look up that one thing, the mandating the message change on a dynamic sign. I just wrote that down. I hope I remember what that means tomorrow. So I can look that up over the next 2 weeks and let you know what I find out.
Okay.
Are there any other kind of issues with this ordinance? I mean, it's pretty straight ahead. It's the definitions, and then you've got these 8, 10, whatever it is. Well, actually 13 different things on here. Actually, what I've actually considered was number 12, which was in the original ordinance that I copied from someone else. So I told you I can't remember who that was. It says conversions to a dynamic sign for a principal sign shall be considered the same as a new sign. But however, if you look at number 4, dynamic sign shall not be the principal sign. So there is no conversion to the principal sign because it's not the principal sign. It's only a subordinate sign. So it has to be less than 50% of the total of the principal sign. So if you have a 50 square foot principal sign, you can only have a 25 square foot dynamic sign or less underneath
Is
it.
that considered one sign?
Right. So the most you can have is, well, I don't know that, Mayor. So
Well, somebody needs to know that.
principal sign, the most you can have, I think the rest of the sign ordinance says you can only have 100 square feet total.
All right, so if I can only have 100 square feet total, and that's my principal sign, but I mean, if I've only got one sign there and the top half or the bottom half or whatever moving, that makes the whole sign a dynamic sign, it seems to me. Just because only parts of it move doesn't, I mean, if it's still all within one box, isn't that the principal sign?
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that. And I guess I assumed, I'm reading a little closer now, that it would all be one sign. So I'd imagine you could have the principal sign with like the name of the business, as a static part of the sign, then have a portion of the sign be like a moving message board or something. That's probably the most common use I would think, or have a screen attached to it. It might get a little cumbersome if you had a principal sign and then a second sign on the site that was only a screen, a smaller version of the principal.
Yeah, see that when I envisioned that situation, what I envisioned was a static lit sign at the top of the pole, and then like, a third of the way down, a smaller screen that would be, programmable and movable and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
didn't,
so
I didn't
much
even think about it all being one screen.
Well, have y'all seen that sign in Whiteville? I'm not sure how big it is, but it's substantial and it's basic. I mean, it looks like an LED screen up there on the outside. I imagine that sign probably 50 square feet at least. And it's basically an LED screen that, I mean, you can put anything you want to on it, I guess.
except that I believe that would be prohibited under this regulation. Because you can't have a dynamic, which LED is one of those types of signs, as your principal sign. You can only have it as a secondary sign.
All right, but if I've got a written sign, I've got a sign that says Neil's Hardware on a 1x12 board, and then right below it, I've got an LED screen. Is that not one sign?
That's not.
No, I would say that's two signs on one pole.
All right, so if I put it all in one box, is it now one or two signs? I build a box and I put an LED screen in there, and across the top of that LED screen, I put Neil's Hardware, and it's all in one nice, neat box. That's one sign then. That's my principal sign. But you said I couldn't have a principal sign with a dynamic, right?
You can't, the dynamic sign cannot be your principal sign is what it actually says, yes.
Well, but I mean, I'm having trouble distinguishing here how
Yeah.
if I have them together, so I have to put up two signs to have my dynamic sign. I have to put up one sign that says Neil's Hardware and then put another sign up that has my LED screen in it.
Yes, I think so.
Can I
Well,
share my
so-
screen?
Or is it just defined?
Yeah. So do I have to have a certain amount of space between them, or?
So when you have like a shopping center sign, you're only allowed to have 100 square feet for the shopping center sign. Okay.
Right.
So, if the main sign for the shopping center, or there's a regulation on what size the other individual signs underneath can be, it's in here somewhere. I just can't find it right here off the top of my head. But we had that issue down there at the old Texaco place where the printer shop was in there, and there was another business that wanted to open up in there, and I can't remember all the details anymore. Sorry, but they could only make a certain size sign underneath there, and I can't find it right now. I'll have to look through the sign ordinance. Sorry, I can't find it right this minute.
Bob, can I share my screen?
Yeah, you want me to?
I think we might just talk about what we want in the ordinance, like what kind of signs.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me, this is
Can
a
you
simple,
Jim,
Simple.
let me just say, the last time we got into a sign ordinance, I almost got run out of town. So
yeah, right? Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so I just pull up just a Google search, like this Trinity Lutheran on the right-hand side. Like
Yes.
that's one sign clear. That's a sign, one sign structure. It's got the static name of the church and it has a the LED screen for part of it. Or custom insurance, something like that. That's a terrible looking sign, but that's one sign in my mind.
Yeah. But so he
Yeah.
actually, he just attached a dynamic sign to the bottom of there.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's a part of the sign. I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know.
built
Look-
that way.
It's kind of like glued on the front of it or something. Anyway, I'm
It's
sorry.
definitely an attachment for sure.
Yeah.
Or that, that's one sign with a screen a little bit bigger or something like that. Now, is this the kind of sign that y'all are envisioning that we want to try to achieve? Because I guess I didn't come prepared to talk about two different signs. So I can't imagine having a principal sign that's all static and then a completely separate structure that has some sort of screen or reader board on it. I can't imagine how that would look good. There might be examples. We might look at that before the next meeting. But I guess in my mind, for a monument sign, we're talking about something like this, or it's your typical monument sign, but it has a component that's a screen. So the screen part is not necessarily the primary part of the sign. You still have a full sign structure and a
So go
static
to the
portion of it.
sunburst display signs, which is
Hold
right
up,
next.
hold up. Before we move along, I have a question about this particular image. Where it says Cambridge Village. Am I, as I'm remembering the sign ordinance from just from memory, isn't the square footage of the letters themselves only what's counted as square footage of sign? Or is that just on a building? And in this case, the whole structure is considered the square footage of the sign.
I would say in a similar fashion, you're probably thinking about a wall sign with channel letters. You measure the letters.
Yeah.
Here, I would measure the light part, not the brick base, as far as the sign area. So
The
the
light
sign
colored
face
part.
would be the
Green
light.
color, the color
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
not the brick. I'd say
All
the
right,
structure
sorry to
is
interrupt.
separate.
Carry on.
So sunburst displays, like
You
I
don't-
think this is what you don't want. Absolutely
Yeah.
don't want. Because that'd be a principal structure. So I guess if the discussion is going that you'd have a principal ground sign and then have something like this on the same frontage but separate, I just can't imagine how that would look good.
I don't think it's what we want. I think what we want to have some verbiage that allows a sign within a sign.
Yeah,
A principal sign that contains a secondary sign within it that's because it looks better.
yeah. These type of signs. So we might take a look at the language in there just to make sure that we know what we're getting.
Look at that gas station, bottom center. That's interesting right there. That at the Exxon station has that at the top of their pole. So we already have examples of dynamic signs.
Yeah, that's a dynamic sign, but it's stagnant. It doesn't really move.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
changeable, but it doesn't change. Yeah.
It might move once a day now, but
Right.
usually, several weeks between changes in the price.
Yeah. It's nothing that's going to distract you. It's not
No.
flattening.
Right. And a lot of ordinances will exempt that sort of thing. Like a lot of ordinances will have, they'll prohibit electronic changeable copy with the exception of gas signs, the actual numbers themselves. For the restricted folks, this gets so much easier to change the numbers here, get away from the plastic letters that you have to manually change.
Mhm.
So that may be something we look at the definition of to make sure we're getting what we want and not allowing what we don't want by accident.
Well, I can do more research. Mindy and I actually have worked on a PowerPoint before for this, so maybe I'll review that PowerPoint again and maybe come back and kind of show everybody what we were looking at before. And I'll share that with Stacy and make sure we get all on the same page. But I can we can work on this a little bit. We can do do you want this? Do you want that kind of thing also?
Well, you remember what it was like the last time we got into a sign ordinance. Gosh almighty, I don't, thank God I just got reelected. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you told me not to bring the sign ordinance up, Mayor, but I was trying to, get this dynamic thing in there just to, I don't know.
Well,
help.
but can you go on Google Maps and go to Whiteville?
Yeah.
Let me show you what I'm talking about. Oh, Lord, this sign is a lot bigger than I thought it was, to tell you the truth, now that I'm looking at it. I've got it. I mean, or you can share screen and I can pull it up, I guess, maybe. I don't know whether that,
Tried that before, Mayor.
yeah, I know, it didn't work very well.
I've seen that sign before, and it's huge, and they do all type of advertising on it, not just for the business.
Oh, yeah, I've been by there when it's changing and flashing and carrying on. You'd think you were at a drive-in movie.
Where is it?
Yeah.
In Whiteville?
Don't, it's just past the building that just burned down where the restaurant was, where Bob Morris had the restaurant. Are you on ground level in Whiteville? On
Not yet.
64?
Not yet. I'm working on it.
You're gonna need to share your screen when you get there, apparently.
Yeah, well, I'm looking for the sign he's looking for first.
Gotcha.
All right, if you get on ground level on 64 going east,
Okay.
and then you'll see the big building there with the RV sitting out in front of it.
Okay. I see it.
All right, and then just go straight down the street a little bit, and you'll see this big sign that's sitting out there. I don't know what a sign like that cost. I mean,
Is it past the intersection?
which intersection?
I'm at Pinners right now.
It's not as far as Penner's.
Okay. I'll turn around.
It's right beside the fire station, or it's near the fire. It's
know anything
between the fire station and the recreational vehicle.
Okay. I'm at the school right now. I'm too
You're
far.
too far.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Turn
see it.
around and go back west.
I am. I'm doing it.
It's just past it's just west of the fire station.
Okay.
There's a cross out there on the ground, and then there's this big sign. In fact,
right.
I think it's double-sided sign.
It is. It looks double-sided.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine what that sign cost, but
All right.
What are they advertising?
they advertise all kinds of things.
What kind of business is it?
There's no business at it.
Oh,
So it's a billboard.
The billboard, yeah,
It's
electronic
you're
billboard.
basically
You're
a
describing an
billboard
electronic billboard.
oh, wow.
There you are.
right there.
Yeah.
See
Oh, sorry.
that sign right there?
Yes, sir.
All right, so, I mean, that's got to be a couple of 100 square feet, I'm guessing, isn't it, George? I don't know. How big would that sign be?
Huge. Yeah, it's big.
Don't we outlaw billboards?
Billboards, yeah.
Yeah, we don't build, well, I don't know. That's another question. Our sign ordinance doesn't really address billboards as far as I can tell.
Oh, really?
Uh-oh.
Well,
And,
but of course, they have to put them on a piece of property, which then makes them a structure. So, and we limit those to 100 square feet. So,
And you can't go.
and you can't have off premises signs, and you get
Right.
into all of that.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, and by the way, when they exceed a certain height and size and square footage, it requires an engineer. Therefore, it requires a building permit.
Right.
good.
Yeah.
But anyway, does your ordinance prohibit that? Maybe not that even that big, but I mean, I'm seeing LED screens that look like your television that people are using as signs.
Basically,
And
yeah, I agree with you. But I don't think this would not float in the town because first of all, it's an off-premise sign. You'd have, like you said, it's a certain height level that you have to follow, and it's too large. You can only have a 100 square foot sign.
Sorry,
So
but if I reduce it down to 100 square feet, does your ordinance prohibit that?
Right now, I don't think it does, except for that so if it's on premises, let's say Teague Store wanted to put that sign up on their thing with a 100 square foot LED sign on it, and eliminate one of their other signs. I don't think our ordinance right now will prohibit them from doing that, the way the ordinance reads right at the moment.
Okay,
We had that problem, basically, when the man wanted to add that extra sign over there. Well, we'll use Bargain Barn as the example. We had no way to stop that from happening. So even though we didn't really want to allow that to happen, there was no the ordinance that prohibited him from putting that sign up.
7
sounds
times
like to me,
14.
we need a lot more work on the sign ordinance. This is how it got the last time, it
Right.
got.
Well,
One,
billboards are a whole different ballgame. I mean, it is a sign, but I mean, that should have to come before the BZA, no matter what.
Right.
Or
Well,
the planning commissioner.
Yeah.
Something.
I just
course,
did a calculation, and 100 square feet is 7 times 14 is 100, roughly. So that kind of gives you an idea at that aspect ratio, the size of the maximum size. So something as tall as the tallest basketball player and twice as wide.
I don't know. Didn't they have
I
an 8
always think of
billboard?
it in terms of a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and you're talking about 3 of those put together. It's still not 100 square feet.
Yeah,
Right.
32 times 3.
It'd be 96 square feet.
Right.
So you can have a huge sign if we allow 100 square feet. I had a question on number 5 where it says there shall be a minimum 100 feet of separation between individual dynamic signs and shall be limited to 1 dynamic sign per property. So if I get approval for my dynamic sign on the edge of my property, and the next guy has a 75-foot wide piece of property, then he can't have one, right?
Yes. Yep.
I don't know that my first thought is that's not fair because you beat me to it. I don't get to have my own, which would look a lot better than the one that's up there. I can assure you.
Neil's real
It would be
estate.
nicer. It would be, I can't believe that you would prohibit me from having a sign because my neighbors on each side of me have a sign on the edge of their property. And so I
Well, maybe
can't
they
have
could-
one.
Maybe
Well-
they could go in together and split the cost and have
Well-
their different names come up at different times.
You are demonstrating an unfairness that is common in real estate and building and et cetera, because there's ordinance against more than one curb cut in certain subdivisions, like 100 feet minimum before you can have 2 curb cuts. So you can't have a
Right.
circular drive in front of your front door. And some lots can have them and some lots can't. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, but I bought a big enough lot because I wanted a circle drive. Here, I'm kind
But you
of,
didn't buy a big enough lot to have 100 feet separation between your sign and the other sign.
well, it was because the other guy put his sign in the wrong spot. If
If
he'd
you-
moved it over
Yeah.
10 feet,
because-
If you wanted to guarantee your ability to have a sign like that, you have to buy a 100-foot wide lot.
You failed to check the
Right.
sign before you bought your property.
okay.
So Ronnie, you cannot have 2 beer Budweiser signs there together.
Apparently not.
You can if they don't move. They're not dynamic.
Well, but I wanted one with the
With a leg.
horses moving,
The Hams Bear. I think there was a Hams Bear neon sign that the Hams Bear fell over or something.
I think we need a lot more work on this
Okay.
before we're ready to. And this is, but I mean, this is what you get into. I mean, it's,
I think it'd be nice, you said you had a PowerPoint on signage.
I haven't
Um,
looked at that in several months. I'll look at it again.
I
And
think that'd be helpful because I get kind of, I don't
Right.
want us to allow things that we didn't anticipate, that we should have from the verbiage figured out what was going to be allowable, but we just didn't see it. And then I'd like to be looking at some examples of some of this stuff.
Okay.
I don't want to end up with stuff like that. Yeah.
All right. I'll work on it.
But what we had tonight that we did cover, I like a lot. And I love the design review of as a way to deal with central business and
Yeah, that,
dynamics. So
yeah.
we're making a lot of progress there. Okay.
I think that the thing that's going to make that a great tool is we've got to require people who are submitting requests and plans they've got to come with some good renderings. We need to stop looking at and considering pencil drawings on notebook paper.
I agree.
Like, for instance, the body shop deal.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's hard for anybody to understand without what things are going to look like in a 2D presentation.
yeah. Well, look at Pomida, the building. I mean, when you pointed that out, I mean, I drove by that and I thought, I had no idea.
Monster.
None
We actually
whatsoever.
did a scale drawing of that though, too.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
but it wasn't a rendering. It wasn't a site rendering. It was
Right.
elevations from an engineer company.
Yeah.
They're not artistic renderings, and we need that to give,
Well, we
to
need
give a
that.
sense of scale.
Yeah.
That building is huge.
Yeah, it is.
Those trees are gonna be right on marginal.
They are, I thought there was going to be all this space and they were
I
going to be,
did too. I thought you
Yeah.
could almost have a park there.
Because,
Yeah.
and here's the reason, we all assumed when we saw those plans that, all they're gonna do is cover the existing parking lot out to the north.
Yeah,
They went twice as far as that.
yeah.
So we didn't really have an idea of the scale.
yeah. Well,
Well,
I think a rendering, a better understanding of it is very helpful. I do get concerned when you have smaller projects about adding cost, when you add cost to somebody and when you don't. And signage, I'm not sure how much it adds to it when you're asking for some of this.
Rendering.
George, I told an architect one time if he could make the actual product look as good as the renderings always did, I wanted to see one of those.
Yes, that is a real thing. It is very hard to do. First
I
off,
mean,
the
I've
builder
never seen
control-
I've never seen a rendering that didn't look good, but then when it got built, I thought, wait a minute, is that the same?
Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of times the problem is you have to find builders who are willing to follow the details in the plans. And that's hard to do.
Okay, well, we're making progress on this. All right, if we're through with sign ordinance right now, let's, is there any other business?
We will have a meeting on the 23rd. We have a minor subdivision review and a zoning ordinance. We don't have a BZA, do we, Stacy? Well, we will if we
We
get
will
that.
because we've just postponed them,
Yeah,
yeah.
we get him to come
Special
back.
exception. Yeah.
That's right.
What's the minor
Right.
subdivision?
The Bluff Creek is wants to, there's two properties at the end of Bluff Creek out there that are zoned for general business, but they're not really conducive to general business. And he wants to rezone them for low density residential and subdivide each property and develop, put houses on those properties.
Kind of down zone.
So
Okay.
which is fine because, you
I
know,
think it's a great idea.
yeah, they'll
Oh, I
sit
do
there
too.
the way they are. The only
Now,
entrance, sorry,
was this a planning commission meeting tonight or a workshop?
What is it?
it was a meeting, but you know, because we approved the minutes.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
and the next one's going to be a planning commission meeting.
Yes.
Okay,
I just kind of been doing meetings, Mayor, because, you know, if we have to just, you know,
well,
Okay.
but now, are you gonna run into needing a special meeting? I mean, what do and this is technical, but if we're having special meetings versus regular meetings. I mean, if we want to say that we're gonna have 2 planning meetings a month, fine. But we used to have the workshop and the planning commission.
right,
And if we're having planning commissions, when we used to have the workshop, then they technically are special called meetings, which have to be advertised and so forth. So
right.
we need to figure that out just from that standpoint.
Yeah, in reality, we could have just taken the approval of the minutes off of this meeting at a workshop. And then we
Well,
could
but
have,
we need to, but we got to define that, Bob. I mean, we
Okay.
can't, we got to. You
All
know,
right.
this probably should have been a special called meeting, the way it's done. But anyway, we just need to be careful about that.
okay.
All right. Is there any other business?
Everybody coming to the retreat Saturday.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I guess y'all talked about that while I was gone.
Where
In
did you
addition-
go?
In
Where
addition to
did you
talking
go?
about me, I'm sure.
Oh, we were talking about you.
Yeah.
Where's George? Where's George?
Where's George?
He fell in. Yep.
We waited as long as we could, George.
I know this computer's so old, it takes 10 minutes to reboot it. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, doesn't look like I missed much.
Okay. So,
And it's in my, I don't know if y'all can see this. I'm going to put it up on the screen, but this is what I'm seeing. And I'd love to know if you guys see this as well.
Just
no.
can't really,
It's kind of hard to see exactly.
Make
what-
some noise.
But
Oh,
no, I
that's-
mean, that's about right. I mean, that's what I'm seeing more or
I'm
less.
all pixelated.
Oh, and I see, I can't tell that on
You
looking
can't.
from here.
we can't see it on your telephone. I mean,
Oh,
this iPad.
there. How about that?
Okay. You definitely.
Oh,
pixelated
yeah, now
there.
I can see that.
That's what I'm seeing. Is that not what y'all are
Okay.
seeing?
No.
No, we're seeing a perfect picture of you.
That is crazy. There's something wrong with my computer.
We can see the certificates on the wall over your shoulder there and
Those are-
everything.
Those are due to the lovely Stacy Schillenberg.
Hmm. That's good.
right.
Business license and stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
Okay. Well, if there is no other business, and I hear none, then I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everybody.
We'll see y'all Saturday.
Good to
Yeah.
see y'all.
Mayor, would
Be
you hang
there
on?
at 7:30 if you want breakfast.
Sausage
Seven.
biscuits.
I don't know what we have. Mindy just said we have plenty to eat.
Egg and sausage biscuits. I don't know what else she's got going on there.
Awesome.
She's ordering it.
Hungry already.
Okay.
Fruit and quiche. No, I'm just kidding. It's pretty.
Oh, there's the,
Okay. See you at 7:30. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Right.
Bye.
and Mayor, would you hang on a second?
Yeah.
Thanks. Wait for the other two to leave. Stacy, you going? Betsy, you still there?
I'm trying. Hold on. I'm trying. What the world?
Are you on a computer or a phone?